Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Break Cycle with me, your host, Joshua Smith. Hope everyone's having a wonderful Thursday.
Yeah.
Bam.
Now that we're doing it consistently,
Yeah, now that we're
the same
consistently
day,
doing Thursdays,
only once a week,
we know what's up.
you're getting it. It
Yeah.
only took you a fucking year.
Yeah, it only took me a year to make sure to know what days we were doing the podcast on for sure. I'm stoked. I'm stoked to be here. It's been a wild week. It's been a wild week. Wild for me. Wild for America.
I don't know if it was so much wild as like just failed to measure up to like 2012 those debates or the 2016 debate.
Yeah, the 2016.
Yeah.
The 2016 Republican debates were fire for sure.
They were.
And then the best was the general debates in 2016 when Hillary and Trump were on stage. That was fucking amazing. I don't think that it gets much better than that. Before we get too far, of course, let's check out toplobster.com. The man, the myth, the legend, my good friend and partner on Break the Cycle, where you can get this great shirt that you see Ryan wearing tonight. The Break the Cycle bright purple conversation starter by using BTC at checkout for a 10% discount, or you can join the Patreon, subscribe, become a member of the YouTube channel under all our videos by hitting the join link, where you can get to a private Discord server and get all Top's new gear up to 2 weeks before it goes to general public at a 30% discount. I did talk to him this week. Hopefully we're going to have some new gear soon. So
Awesome.
Yeah, so if you want to sign up to get some big fat discounts on Top gear and also support the show, that'd be great. We'd really appreciate it. And we are going to go back, I believe, next week to doing members-only shows after the show as well.
All right.
So we'll have those coming up next week, and I got some great guests. And unfortunately, Jeremy was supposed to be on the show tonight, Jeremy Kaufman, but he had to back out. And then AJ had some family stuff, so he's not here. So just me and my wonderful co-host, Mr. Ryan Kurt. Sir, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well. I had a good time at the state fair. It was my first ever state fair. I worked the booth, got a bunch of people to sign up. I had one guy that's hopefully tuning into the show. He's a Mises Caucus guy from South Dakota. So
Nice.
If you're listening, shout out to you. And then I also got to spend some time at the fair with both the presidential candidates that came, both you and Chase Oliver.
We'll talk about that tonight.
Yeah.
We will, because I have a feeling that I outshine Chase at the Iowa State Fair.
I won't give any spoilers.
Yeah.
I'll keep everybody in suspense.
I have a feeling. So he did get to do the political soapbox, but I have a feeling that I still outshined him when it came to campaigning at the fair. But I'm one of those guys. I'm outgoing, and I'm ready to do this damn thing. And I'm even more so ready after watching the Republican debates last night, which we will get into tonight for sure. But before we get too far into that, we have a wonderful guest for you tonight. My good friend, the resident stand-up comedian of New Hampshire, Mr. Bill Barger. Sir, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Oh, I can't complain. I might want to turn your audio up just a little bit there. There you go.
Yeah, I can get closer to the mic too.
Oh, now you're too loud. Damn it. No, that's okay. That's okay. How are you been, man? What's going on in your world today? I did just see your post. Since last August to this August, you went from being a very, very tall, skinny twink to being damn near Arnold Schwarzenegger, dude. What's going on there?
So that's it's actually from February of this year. That's 6 months.
Oh, is it 6 months?
Yeah,
Holy
it's
shit.
this neat little concoction called steroids.
Yeah, I was about to ask. Is it Tess? What kind of anabolics are you on, dude?
Nah, it's just creatine, protein powder, and going to the gym like every day.
Yeah, he's
Got to do it. It's discipline. It's called discipline, and you should get some.
Nah, dude. I'm a happy fat man, dude. Trust me, man. But you packed on about 20 pounds of muscle, huh?
Yes, sir.
That's crazy, dude. That's a lot of muscle to pack on in that.
It's no joke.
Time, dude. Yeah, it's good. It's good for you, dude. I'm glad. You're still young too, right? You're in your 20s still, right?
No, I'm 31.
Oh,
Pretty old.
Oh, dude, you're not. I'm 10 years older than you, buddy.
Yeah, so you're wicked old.
I'm wicked old, dude. I'm fucking old. I
Wicked old.
don't got no grades yet.
Yeah, I'm 3 years younger than him. I'm still a baby.
Yeah, Ryan's still in his 20s over here, so he's a young man having his first baby soon.
Yep.
Proud of you, buddy.
There you go, dude.
We bullied him into procreating on the show. His whole thing with me and AJ was, no, we gotta wait till my wife's done paying off our student loans, and we are like, dude, why? If you wait, you're just gonna regret waiting till you're in your 30s to have your first kid. And then he finally showed up. He's like, well, it looks like we're having a baby, so we take credit for bullying him into procreating.
We
Only
probably would have
11 more to
started
go.
about 6 months from now. It started trying 6 months from now if we would have stuck to what we were initially planning.
But you didn't because we peer pressured you. We bullied you.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
I'm proud of you, dude. We're all proud of you here. Guys, we had some Republican debates last night. That was crazy. But before we go too far, for those who don't know, I'll be on Timcast on Wednesday. Wednesday, right?
The 30th.
Yeah, the 30th. I think it's Wednesday night. I'm flying in Wednesday morning, Wednesday early afternoon, and then I think the show is from 6 to 8 or 8 to 10, or then there's like a members only show or something as well, after like an after show too.
Yo, okay, you guys got to do that members only thing. That's a great move. You could do like an OnlyFans after the show.
No, we do. If you guys
have
go
170.
There's like 170 after shows on the YouTube channel for members. So, and they're also on the Patreon and the Subscribe Star. And I did figure out eventually, after halfway through doing all those, that we could do them live on all three of those platforms as well by just adding the YouTube link. So, if you guys want to see that stuff, but yeah, I'll be on Timcast. We got some other big shows lined up. I know we're working on getting on PBD. I just got some really cool like legacy media interview requests, and I did one for a free market magazine out of California, a written interview, which I always like doing the written interviews, and then also one for kind of like a leftist rag, which is going to be interesting. The guy called me and did a phone interview, and he really wanted to know about my stances on the ADL and SPLC, and also the trans kids thing. And he was very interested in that, and I didn't capitulate on it at all. I did say that my platform plank about the ADL and the SPLC are mostly tongue in cheek. Because I don't think the president has the power to deem publications as hate groups. But I did say if there was a way that we could get it done, or through Congress or any of that stuff, that I would be more than happy to see them designated as hate groups, because they've ruined so many lives of good people who just want simple things like freedom.
The ADL is Americans with Disabilities League.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what it is. Yes, you're absolutely right. Yes. No. And if you're not familiar,
it's a branch of the Special Olympics.
Yeah, if you're not familiar, it was it's actually the Anti-Defamation League. It started to protect and tried to exonerate a pedophile murderer from a very, very long time ago. So I won't get into it. It's very
Was he guilty?
He was found guilty, and then the townsfolk actually barged into the courtroom after he's found guilty and lynched him outside. So, not a black guy; he was a Jewish guy.
Yeah. Weren't they like tweeting about like the 100th anniversary of that like a couple weeks ago, and then they got Twitter noted?
Yeah. They've been trying to erase that history for a very, very long time. And I love when people come to me and they're like, you're just anti-Semitic. I'm like, no, I've just actually fucking studied the case. Like, I've literally read every single piece of evidence and paperwork, and I read all the witness testimonies, and it was very clear. If you read the case work, the case work around the whole thing, it's like, it's very, very clear that he was guilty, and he even tried to blame it on the black janitor. And half the
so much worse.
Yeah, and half the jury was Jewish. So there's a lot of people who are like, oh, it was white people that wanted him killed because he was a Jew. Well, 6 of the jury members were Jewish. The KKK didn't even believe his story about the black janitor doing it. It was very clear, dude. Like, and the ADL.
If the KKK doesn't believe
the black janitor did it,
you pinning your crime on a black man, you probably fucked up.
Yeah, the community notes were really good. They did eventually get the community notes taken down, unfortunately. But so, anyways, let's talk a little bit about the Iowa State Fair before we get into the debate. We are gonna run down some of the things of the debate. There was some. I really want to get into the debate because the debate really focused. It was so funny because it centered around Donald Trump, even though he wasn't there.
Kind of.
There was a lot of stuff about Donald Trump, about his legal case and indictments. They at one point had everybody raise their hand if they would support Donald Trump, even if he was found guilty. And I
saw that clip.
Yeah, but it goes so much deeper than that. There's so much shit because this is what makes me mad. Okay, I'm obviously going very hard at Vivek right now because I see him as kind of the dark horse in the Republican Party, and I see a lot of my side of the aisle supporting him, and he's so bad on so many things, but he's one of these people that he's like Obama. He's like the Republicans' Obama. He's the outsider.
100%, dude.
Yeah, he's like the outsider. He's very articulate. He's very charismatic, but he's basically just going whichever way the wind blows. And we'll get more into that. And there's some things that he said in the debate that I really want to talk about. And I want people to understand that shit is not okay. If you're a conservative and you're rallying behind some of this stuff, you really need to think about what the fuck you're doing. But anyways, let's talk about the Iowa State Fair. So I'm campaigning for president, and when I announced for president, just 6 weeks ago, or maybe a little bit longer. It's been a little bit longer now, I guess.
Something like that.
It was July, right?
July 22nd to be exact.
So it's only been a month then.
Yeah, it's been just over a month. Okay. So not even.
So in that time, we've built a 40-person campaign team. We've gotten, I think I got 100 pending media requests, including Tim Pool. We're looking at trying to get on PBD, like I said, and some other big ones too. We are going to push to get on Rogan, and then of course we're going to push to get on The View, which is kind of my dream interview. I would really like to get on The View, and I think we could do it. And I'm going to go in there and Norm Macdonald.
You love just being bitched at by women.
I'm going to go in there and Norm Macdonald them just like he did. I'm going to spend my whole time in there talking about Hillary Clinton.
Man.
And so we got some really good stuff lined up. Of course, tons of travel requests already. I'm doing a debate in Maryland, a debate in South Carolina, a debate in Minnesota.
You want to be president? You better come to New Hampshire, dude.
Oh, I'm probably going to be at Porkfest in the summer before the convention, because I think your guys Porkfest is in June, right?
Yeah, end of June. Yep.
Oh, so it's after the convention. So that'll be after I get the nomination probably, but I'll be there.
Oh, that's right, because that would happen at the LNC or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's the national convention in DC. Coming, it's in May. It's in the beginning of May.
Okay.
So we've gotten a lot of really cool requests to do all kinds of really cool things that we didn't think we would get, and so this campaign's really kind of taken off. We're winning a lot of the straw polls as long as they leave Spike Cohen out of it. We're winning everything by quite a bit. But I look at the currently announced field, and I think Mike Termat's got a lot of really good points. I don't think he's competitive in this race at all.
Is he the dude who sang the national anthem on a dog?
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, he's cringy.
Legend, absolute legend.
Yeah,
I respect the hell out of him. He went for it.
I loved it. Like
it was so cringe. Well, of course,
it was cringe, but
you're our resident cringe guy. I mean, that's of course.
Yeah, but it was cringing that he was just being himself and not like pretending to be somebody else.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. I was impressed.
Yeah, impressive, but he's not competitive in the movement. And Lars, for all intents and purposes, is just a meme lord. That's all I ever see from him. I don't see anything else from that guy. And he doesn't have a platform on his website. It's just unrig the system, and it's like a couple paragraphs about unrigging the voting system. And
I see his ads everywhere.
Yeah, because he fucking puts a lot of money into his campaign. He's
rich.
He's self-funded. He created something called Friend Finder or something like that. It's like a big website online, and he made a lot of money doing that. I see my only challenge right now.
We should make one of those, but just like everybody's in New Hampshire, every friend is in New Hampshire.
That would be fucking hilarious. I see the only challenger for me personally right now, and it's kind of the same fight I was fighting when I was running for chair, is with Chase Oliver.
Yeah.
And so Chase has been to Iowa before recently to campaign here, but had not been to the fair. And so
is he the dude from Georgia?
Yeah. The very, very big on the LGBTQ gay guy, stuff like that, and really big on pride. And he won't answer a direct question about transing the kids, and he won't answer direct questions about all kinds of different things. Of course, he thinks that.
Are you transing your kids? I'm not answering questions.
He's gay. He's not allowed to have.
Yeah, he's not allowed. Well, yeah, he's not allowed to. He's not allowed to answer those questions because he is a left leaning, and he's trying to appeal to the left leaning libertarians. But so I see him as my only challenger. And what I did is I went for 4 hours to the fair on a Wednesday night. What was it, 4 to 8?
Yeah, 4 to 8.
4 to 8. I was there, and I stood behind the Libertarian Party booth for a couple 4 hours. And I handed out 150 business cards or something like that.
Something like that.
And I talked to so many people, and I got people to donate to the campaign. We got some people signed up to help the party here. And I got several people signed up for the email list, and people that have hit me up now on Twitter that were at the fair that met me there. And then we went around and got some good footage, and I campaigned just around the people out, and we did really well there as well. You were there with Chase.
I was.
He came the following weekend. What was that like?
It was interesting. At first, the booth was overcrowded. He had like a campaign manager or some staffer there. We had somebody from the LPIA there that's helping out a ton with Chase's team. And then I was there, and then we had another volunteer there to start with. And so it's a tiny little booth, 5 people. I didn't do much to start with, but it The big thing I noticed is you were so much better about reading who might be interested, and he and his team pushed things on people that still were pretty clearly not interested.
They were checking out already.
You engaged quite a bit more, and it was easier to direct people to sign up when you were there, to get people locally on that.
How big is this fair?
It becomes the biggest city in Iowa for 10 days.
Yeah, so Iowa is one of the it's in the top 5 biggest state fairs in the country. It's pretty gnarly, man. It's like one of the biggest things to do in Iowa. That's why. I mean, it's Iowa. It's mostly cornfields here, outside of the city.
Two weekends.
10 days.
Yeah, it's 10 days. Yeah, it runs from one weekend through another weekend, basically.
Yep.
Yeah, and so he was in and out on the last day I was at the fair, which was a Saturday. I was there for 8 hours working the booth, and when he was gone, I think I got 12 signups, which one sign up an hour is a pretty ridiculous pace from what I saw. And I was doing much more than that.
Sure.
And then when he was there, I think we got maybe one sign up.
Yeah,
he was there.
I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed with his campaign at all. In fact, I just watched some talks with him, and then I watched his last night. I watched his live feed responding to the presidential debates, and it was not good. He is full of platitudes and platforms. He does not have actual plans. He does not know how to talk about bills or what kind of bills he would like to abolish. It's basically all complete bumper sticker rhetoric entirely.
Yes, and his campaigning was trying to be kind of cutesy. That's how I saw it. He had stickers.
No malarkey.
Yes.
Yeah, he had stickers that he was handing out that said pork belongs in sandwiches, not in Washington.
Right. Yeah.
And like people ate some of that up.
Yeah.
Because
he's talking about porcupines?
No, he's talking about pork in general. Like, you know how they pack pork into bills? He's saying the pork belongs in
sandwiches.
In sandwiches and not in bills. That's what his stickers say. He also had the butter candidate.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I was thinking
my father-in-law thought the butter candidate thing was hilarious.
Of course, any Iowan's going to find that hilarious because the
Iowa
Iowa Fair.
That?
So the Iowa Fair is famously known to have every fair they build a butter cow. It's a cow sculpture made out of butter, and it stays in kind of this refrigerated area of the fair the whole time the fair's here. And it's 600 pounds of butter, my man. It's a lot of butter.
Wow, that's a big cow.
It's like 2 scale, basically.
Butter cow.
Yeah, it's 2 scale. It's as big as a cow, and it's 600 pounds of butter. But it does have a wire frame inside of it. They build it around.
Gotcha.
And there were some people that were all pissed off about that recently. They're like, "You mean the whole thing isn't fucking butter?" I'm like, "Dude,
my in-laws found that out today, and it was like, what?
Yeah.
How else would you build the sculpture?"
So anyways, he had signs that said, or stickers that said the butter candidate. And I'm like, dude, you're from Georgia. Get out of here.
Yeah.
You don't even know about the butter cow.
I told him that if you were doing that and you're one of my best friends, I would not vote for you.
Right.
That sticker made me want to put a gun to the roof of my mouth.
I didn't even show up with a sticker. I showed up with my my little business cards here. I don't know if you guys can see them, but they're pretty good business cards. They got that, and then they got just some issues on the back and a QR code to scan that'll take you right to my website. And people took a lot of them, and they were really stoked. And then my opener was pretty good, I think, too. You got a moment to talk about freedom and liberty, and then if they said no and just kept walking, I'd say, they're increasingly popular ideals in the United States.
Yeah.
And sometimes they turn around and come back because it was funny, because I was like saying it with a smile. And then they were surprised that I was a presidential candidate because I'm young. And
the way you introduced yourself as a presidential candidate, I couldn't describe how it was different, but it was just different. Like when you introduced yourself, people immediately took you seriously. When Chase said it was like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, well, because I told him, I said, look, I'm the blue collar candidate, blue collar, hardworking, normal dad candidate who's running against the the financial big money juggernauts, and we got a really good campaign going. I think I think this thing's about to take off. It's already been taking off, but it's about to really take off here.
You got to tell them you're the family man.
Well, that too. I talk about
the family man's really gonna sell, Josh. You're underselling. Yeah. It's like the biggest thing, but you got like 1 million kids.
He's a family guy.
You gotta sell yourself as a family man.
It is a lot of fun. It is a lot of kids, dude. It is, and I love them to death, dude.
It's like 8, 9.
No, it's 8 in total. My oldest daughter just moved out. We have 6 in the house, and then I have my one son that doesn't live with me. He lives in Oregon, but we have one coming in December, so we'll have 7 back in the house. It'll be 9 total between me and my wife. So yeah, it's a lot. Wild, it's a lot of kids.
You gotta get them all out there, like the Mormon families that run for president. Get them all out to parade them around, dude. Well, you gotta weaponize your family here.
That's what we're trying to listen. If you're donating to the campaign, we set a goal of $100,000 through the national convention. We'd like to raise more than that, but that's our hard goal, is $100,000 between now and May of next year. It's a long time to do so. But what we want to do is raise enough money to get a 15-passenger van with a presidential wrap on it, so that I can take my family, because we live in the Midwest, dude. Right? Like I could drive to like 20 states within 10 hours from here, basically, Yep. And I mean, I can make it to Utah. We made it to Utah in 14 hours. I mean, it's, what I mean? We can drive anywhere except for like the coast. It's kind of hard that way.
Yeah.
So we would like to get the van so that we can drive, so I can bring the family around to some of these events. You know what I mean? Like, that'd be great. We would love to do that. But it's going to take getting that van, because our minivan isn't big enough for everybody anymore.
Yeah.
So anyways, we had the Republican, primary debates yesterday. And I did not watch them live. I told you I actually watched Chase Oliver responding to them, because I'm doing oppositional research here. You know what I mean? I want to make sure I know what I'm talking about when I talk about the other candidates. I don't want to say anything that's wrong. Like today, Mike Termat. This is the second time now that Mike Termat has tried to come at me publicly. Once was when we did a sort of talk debate on the Minnesota party channel, and he was like, "Hey Josh, we missed you in Iowa last year at the state convention," and I was like, "Ha ha ha ha! We just had a baby 2 days before the convention, dude." And he was like, "Oh, you know what I mean? Like because we had just had Rocco, right? Or we were just about to have Rocco. One of the two. I can't. There was a reason why I didn't go, was because of Rocco. Otherwise, I would have went there, because it was here." Right.
See, this is the thing where it's like you can do like Dave Smith, and you can use your family as an excuse not to do things, or you can weaponize your family and make it that much more potent of an appearance in whatever you do. Running for president, doesn't matter.
Right.
You see, Vivek, he's doing his workout videos, right, with his wife.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
I haven't seen those yet.
It's like, oh, you're promoting the whole family thing, dude. He's rather than saying, I am so absorbed with my family that I can't include them in my life outside of my family. It's like, oh, I can mix both.
Right. No, and I agree.
Yeah.
But where was
you
it?
Gotta get your kids. Get your kids.
It does make a difference when your newborn has open heart surgery.
Yeah, it did too. Yeah, like, but here's the thing. No, I don't want to hear.
My dad straight up was done having kids. After that, and then I came along and fixed that.
I don't want to hear the excuses for Dave. Dave, I love Dave to death. Okay, he's one of my favorite fucking people in this country. No doubt. When it comes to the being able to talk about the ideals of liberty, there is not many people that do it better. But you know what? Dave fucked up. He did. He absolutely did. I don't want to badmouth him. I've never badmouthed Dave, but he had everybody joining the party, getting ready to support him for a run. And it's been years now. And even me, I was like, hell, I wouldn't have ran for president if Dave Smith was running. Are you kidding me? Hell no.
And that was one of the reasons that I joined the party, because I was like, we're going to have a legitimate presidential candidate, and what a time to get one when it's probably going to be Donald Trump versus Joe Biden again.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, people don't want that. This is one of the best messengers of liberty in a long time.
Well, now I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So
we at least have.
Now you got the other Smith.
Yeah.
You got the other Smith. I do need to say we got a super chat from in the early time of the show from my good friend Rob, $5 super chat. He said, "Don't forget to bring up how Vivek lifted Title 4D from your platform," and we will talk about that. We're going to get into that. So we had the Republican debates.
We also had another super chat.
Oh, I didn't see it. No, it wasn't a super chat. It was Janae LeBlanc. Welcome to
Quest
supporters.
Fanning had one.
I haven't seen. Oh yeah, Quest said Chase can't lead. Yes, wordplay. Nice, dude. Hell yeah. Thanks, Quest. Thanks for was it $2 super chat?
Yeah.
Thank you, brother. So we had the Republican debate
tonight.
Yeah, dude. So we used to get super chats like crazy. You guys used to love the super chats. What happened? Let's bring them back.
I think I have super
the fucking Bidenomics.
Yeah, it's the Bidenomics. The Bidenomics has fucked up our super chat game. So here's the deal. We had a Republican debate yesterday, and Trump didn't show up. In fact, he went and did an interview at the same exact time with
Tucker, and he
Tucker.
started it like 10 minutes before.
Balls.
Yes, and by the time I went to sleep last night around 12:30 a.m., it had over 108 million views already.
Well, impressions on Twitter,
Yeah.
which isn't directly video views.
But the views were still around 1 million.
Yeah, the
I mean,
views were a
lot.
ton.
It was a lot, and so Trump didn't show up. And here's what I want to preface this by saying this was not a presidential debate. Okay, in my opinion, this was not a presidential debate. None of those people are going to get the nomination from the Republican Party. It was a vice president debate. That's what it is to me. It was like a giant live vice president interview for Trump.
And if you look at it like that, a lot of them fired themselves.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. Oh, there's no doubt. The fact that they were saying the things like okay, so Pence was, they asked, did Pence do the right thing on January 6th, right? And everybody's lining up to say yes for Pence. But Trump's not going to look at that and go, oh yeah, I want that guy to be my vice president. All I was doing was having him question an election that I thought was rigged.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they're arresting lawyers today. They're arresting lawyers today, dude.
The messed up day. That's the craziest part of the whole thing.
They are arresting lawyers for
taking on clients.
Their job. Okay.
Yep.
It's not. This is crazy shit that's happening today. If you know what's going on with the Trump indictments and the people that have been arrested today, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. There's no reason whatsoever that these people should be arrested for doing their job, for inquiring about elections, for being a lawyer, for representing people. You should not be arrested for that. That's insane. If you want to indict Trump, fine. Prove that he did something that was illegal, fine. But do not arrest the lawyers for taking on a client. That's insane to me. So anyways, one of the funniest things for me was get through some of the intros. Of course, we had the Vivek intro, which was a clear ripoff of Obama. Clear. If you watch the 2008 debates, he said exactly what Obama said. You're probably wondering why I'm on this, this skinny kid from Illinois is on the stage, right? Like he literally did the Obama.
That's hilarious.
I was 12 when that debate happened.
I was not 12. And in fact, in January of 2009, during the inauguration, I was in bed dying of H1N1. The swine flu. Literally thought I was going to die. I was in and out of the hospital and everything for like 3 weeks.
Should have got vaccinated.
No. I think I got the flu vaccine that year. I think it's the only year I got the flu vaccine, if you can believe that. So anyways, so he started with that. Of course, we had the DeSantis opening, which was good. I'm not going to take away from DeSantis in this like some other people are because they hate him because they're Trump supporters. I think DeSantis, in my opinion, DeSantis did the best in the debate. And a lot of people are going to be mad at that. Because they want Vivek. They think that the Vivek was the guy. But let me tell you about Vivek, dude. Okay, in last year, in 2022, he wrote in the Wall Street Journal that the only way forward in the pandemic was the delivery of the vaccine. Okay, and now he's acting like all this COVID stuff was bad. This was just a year ago. Just a year ago. He also said a year ago that he praised Pence and thinks that he did the right thing on January 6th. Okay, in another writing that he put out. This year, he's trying to play up to Trump. Okay. He's the only one that said that he would still support Trump after the indictment or after he was convicted or whatever, right?
It was, I think, pardon Trump was the question.
Pardon Trump, yeah. He's the only one that said he would pardon Trump.
Very quickly raised his hand, then DeSantis, looked around and looked
and then
at
raised
him
his hand real slow. That was really weird.
Raised his hand.
But I will say, so when it comes to the foreign intervention stuff, okay, Vivek talks all day about how we're not going to send any more money to Ukraine. We're not going to support Ukraine, this, that, and that. And then he turns around and says, we're going to go to war with Mexico. Okay. That is insane.
I'm waiting for somebody to one up that. Somebody one of these days is gonna be like, I will use the full force of the U.S. military to end the homelessness problem.
Yeah, I mean, if you really want to be savage, say you'll go to war with Canada. That's savage. Mexico? What are you're gonna drop bombs in the middle of Michoacan to take out like goat farmers that happen to have AK-47s and sell drugs, and then kill a bunch of innocent people in Mexico of all places?
It's worked before.
Sure. Yeah, it's totally worked.
Yeah.
It's worked.
Worked in Syria and Libya and
opium
Iraq
business is
and
booming.
Iran
Yemen and so many places, right? So like he's not really anti-war. He knows that it's not popular with conservatives to keep supporting this Russian-Ukrainian skirmish. He knows it's not popular. But what is popular is fighting the fentanyl crisis, right?
Yep.
And the southern border and all these things with the conservatives and with the Republicans especially. And so he's playing up that to his base. Mm-hmm. But he's not anti-war. He's not. And the best
sadly he was the most anti-war guy on the stage.
I don't know. DeSantis was pretty good about it too. He said he would.
Isn't DeSantis owned by the Israel lobby though?
This is where it gets interesting, right? So everybody's saying that, oh well, Vivek's an outsider and he doesn't support all this stuff, blah 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 blah, whatever. But he spent 10 minutes arguing with Nikki Haley over which one of them was going to serve Israel better. Did you not see that?
I did.
Did you guys not? Is everybody on the conservative side that's watching this debate, did you not see that they spent 10 minutes fighting, arguing over each other about who was going to serve Israel better? He literally said, we're still going to make sure that Iran can't have nuclear power.
Yeah.
We're still going to make sure that our friends are our friends and they're safe. Okay. So what are you saying? You're telling me with your lips that you're going to remove funding from Israel, but out of the other side of your mouth, they're still our friends. We're still going to be diplomatic. We're still going to protect them. We're still going to go make sure that Iran can't hurt them. Like, dude, you're literally saying that you're going to stop supporting them and that you're going to continue to support them. And you're fighting with Nikki Haley over it.
And this was a trend I noticed. Every single one of them, whenever they said, oh, we'll cut this or we'll reduce this, it wasn't, hey, we're just going to get rid of it as a budget item because, they all said we need to reduce the budget, but when they proposed it, they were like, no, we're going to redirect those funds to somewhere else. Every single time they proposed cutting something, It wasn't cutting, it was redirection. And you're not going to reduce the size and scope of government and reduce the national debt that way.
Communism in a different shape.
Yes.
Same number of square feet of communism.
And, speaking of the budget stuff, that was probably the very funniest part of the entire debate. There was a lot of funny stuff going on there. I mean, Pence sounded like he was still stuck in the 1970s, all this stuff. But Tim Scott, when he's talking about under Trump, oh, well, we cut this and we made this cut. And I forget the moderator, the woman moderator.
Yeah.
Says, okay, but Mr. Scott, you approved a $4.4 trillion bill, a $4.1 trillion bill, and a $2.7 trillion bill. And he goes, oh yeah, sure did, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then he completely deflected away from that immediately after just saying about all the stuff that they cut. In fact, they added more to the national debt under Trump than any president in my lifetime.
Yeah, so it's wild, less than 4 years. It was about 4 years, but the last year he didn't do much. 3.5 years, Trump spent more money than anybody ever on earth, ever. And then Biden hasn't beat it yet, but he's on track to do even more than that.
Yes.
In 4 years. With no COVID.
He hasn't beat it
with
yet.
no COVID, though.
Yes. Yeah, but that's the thing. That's the thing about the COVID stuff. Everybody keeps it kept when it came back to Pence and about spending in the national debt, and it came back to Trump about spending in the national debt, and Tim Scott and the other people that were in that administration, they always be like, oh, but then we were faced with a global pandemic, and it was like, dude, you guys were out of office 8 months after the pandemic started.
Isn't it interesting to see how that's the pandemic didn't matter, But then when it's convenient, it did matter. Like, oh yeah, it wasn't a big deal, and we totally overreacted and should have done less. Oh, but we spent all that money because it was a global pandemic. It's like, aren't you kind of being like selective about when this was a big deal and when it wasn't a big deal?
Yeah. And then Chris Christie just looked like he wanted a fucking cheesesteak the whole time he was up there, dude.
Christie was like awful.
He was the worst.
Yeah, he was like, he wanted to go back to the pre-Trump days.
Yes.
And then when Vivek was the only one like actually pushing anything, and whenever he did, Christie would be like, "Shut the fuck up. We like all have agreed that we're gonna do it the old way, and you outsider, you're not welcome. You're screwing up our plans."
No, it was really funny. That's exactly what Christie did the entire debate. Mm-hmm. Every time Vivek opened his mouth, he started talking to him about how he had no experience, he had no idea what he was talking about, and we didn't. It wasn't the time for a rookie, is what he said.
Well, Pence said that.
Was it Pence that said
that?
Okay.
Pence said that like it's not the time for inexperience, but almost everybody took a shot at him about his inexperience. Nikki Haley said that we don't need somebody so inexperienced with foreign policy, and then she tweeted it out, and Vivek retweeted it because he's like,
no, Vivek was the hilarious. I will say that Vivek definitely filled that Trump void when it came to, because he went in and on everybody on the stage, which was great. And the best line in the whole thing was to Nikki Haley when he's like, "I want to get ahead of congratulating you on your new job with Raytheon." And I was just like, holy shit, dude, that was cool. But you can't in one breath say that you're the anti-war candidate and you want to end all these wars. He never talked about bringing all the troops home. He never talked about closing down military bases around the country. And he sat there and simped for Israel for 10 minutes. And I got to tell you, man, you're not going to be the anti-war candidate if you're still simping for Israel, because all of the wars that we've been a part of in the Middle East have almost all been on behalf of Israel. It's always, especially our setting up bases all around Iran to poke fingers at Iran. That's all because of Israel. That has nothing to do with Americans. Iran's not coming here to attack us in America, dude. You know what I mean? It's not happening. They're not even they'll never, ever get close to having the capability.
It always blows my mind how conservatives are so worried about the defense budget.
Yeah.
It's just like, we could probably get rid of the entire defense budget, and the prospect of American citizens with their personal arsenals would be enough to scare any country off from attacking us.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Peace through strength is working great in New Hampshire.
Oh, shit, dude. The peace through strength thing, they probably said that 100 times in the debate last night. Peace through
It makes me want to throw up.
Yes.
Oh my God. It's such a dumb idea.
Dumb as shit. Absolutely.
Because almost all...
Now, that being said, I am trying to get stronger.
Yeah. Almost all military power just comes from financial power.
Yeah, and we didn't have none of them talked about the Federal Reserve except for Vivek.
And he mentioned it once.
He mentioned it once, and all he'd said was we need to restructure the Federal Reserve.
Yeah.
He didn't say anything about, we need to let the American people know what the Federal Reserve is doing. He didn't say anything about how the Federal Reserve is propping up the inflation. He didn't say anything about how the Federal Reserve is propping up the military-industrial complex and helping to keep us in these forever wars. He didn't even say anything about printing money out of thin air. He just said we need to restructure the Fed.
He did say and get back to a sound dollar, and that's about which it should be a lot more, but it's wild that is miles ahead of where any other candidate was.
Sure.
Like, every other candidate thinks, oh, where the taxes are fine and our money system is fine and it's not completely broken because they're all the beneficiaries of the broken system.
Okay, and so that's that's the reason why I want to do this show tonight, is because there's so many people that are so enthralled by Vivek, especially after the debate last night. But it's really just because of how fucking bad the rest of the field was. I want people to understand that you're looking at it through some weird glasses, because you're seeing Vivek talking shit to these people, and it's fun to watch. And you're like, yeah, it gives me a good feeling. I feel like he's on our team. But he's not. He's not on our team. He's not on our liberty team, man. He wants to continue to lock people in violent rape cages for drug charges. He wants to blow up Mexico. You know what I mean? Like, he wants to simp for Israel. He's not an anti-war guy.
He wants mandatory civic service.
Mandatory civic service. Yes, mandatory civic service. And he mentioned it in the same breath as to become a citizen, even if you were born here, which was really strange to me. I don't know if it was because of the way he structured that sentence or not.
So he didn't mention the mandatory civic service. That's from his book, one of his books. But he said if you're under 25, you have, when you to graduate high school, you have to pass the same civics exam
that you have to become a natural citizen.
You have to become a citizen.
But the way he worded it, it sounded like he wanted everyone to be able to do that, to become a citizen of the United States, even if you were born here. That's what it sounded like he said. Like, it was very strange the way he worded that. It may have been a mistake because he was flustered or something. I don't know. He did talk about abolishing the Department of Education. I think that was great.
Yeah.
That was a good thing. But he wasn't the only one on stage that talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
Because DeSantis went in on that too. And I believe DeSantis because he went in on his own school system in Florida.
Yeah.
Hard, very hard. And he fired the Soros funded prosecutors in Florida, both of them, because they weren't prosecuting the violent crimes of the leftists. And he fired them. He's done the shit that he said he wants to do for America. He's actually done the shit. He's the only person on that stage that I believed when he said things, dude, because he's actually done it in his own state, right? Pence kept talking about how he balanced the budget not in Indiana, right? And you want to believe him because his budget was okay. It wasn't bad. And when he was a governor of Indiana. But look what he fucking did to the country.
Yeah, but Pence can blow it out his ass. He constantly invokes the name of Calvin Coolidge. Then is like, hey, yeah, I'm like Calvin Coolidge, but let's fucking bomb Russia.
Yeah.
Let me bomb Russia.
Oh, he was all about fighting Russia, dude. He was go ahead, Bill.
When I watch Mike Pence, I just get, it's like somebody took like a G.I. Joe doll and then aged it by like 50 years and then made it turn into a robot and made it spout political like tropes. Right-wing conservative tropes from the 90s, and like that's what I get from Mike Pence. It's like, wow, this guy is like Christian conservative, former military, was like the guy. He's 30 years ago.
He's living before the 90s. He's still in the 70s.
Like,
he's still in the 70s.
Down economics.
Yeah, he was talking about trickle down economics. But here's the thing that I thought the funniest shit that Pence pulled to me was he started talking about communist Russia. And Vivek stopped him. He's like, the USSR fell in 1990, right? It was so fun. That was probably my favorite line from Vivek because he smacked him down because it's true. They haven't been a communist country. Is Putin a dictator? Sure, we can argue that. You know what I mean? Does he have like a stronghold over his population? Sure, we can argue that. That's fine. Are they a communist country like Marxist communists like fucking tankies? Like are they like Lenin? Are they still Leninites? No, they're not, and it's not even close.
They don't have the Gulag Archipelago. They're not forcing people into work camps,
right?
For a relative being against the state.
Yeah, exactly. It's and Vivek was like, hey, Pence, the USSR fell in 1990, right?
America is arguably more communist than Russia today.
Yep.
Like case could easily be made.
It can actually that argument can be made, dude.
I'm sad that argument can be made.
But Pence was definitely the most bloodthirsty war hawk up there. Him and Nikki Haley, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
But Pence was like, Pence like basically just dropped a bunch of fucking war propaganda in that debate yesterday. He's like, I went and visited, and you know what they're cutting off ears of children and raping their mothers. And I'm like, dude, do you have a single ounce of proof that this is happening? Because I have not, out of sight of like leftist rag propaganda magazines and like NAFO people, I haven't seen a single thing that says anything about that. And he's like, we must protect our pro-American state or the pro-American country of Ukraine. I'm like, dude, Ukraine fucking hated us like 8 years ago, dude. What are you talking about? Pro-American.
Staged a color revolution there. What the fuck are you talking about?
I couldn't believe it. He's like the pro-American country of Ukraine, and I'm like, dude, they hated us. They hated us, and they killed their own people and fought against the Russians.
Zelensky loves us.
Are we gonna?
When he says country, he means their government. Mm-hmm. When we say country, we mean their people.
People, right?
Yeah. Are we gonna go to war with every government that does bad things?
Yeah.
Like
yes.
Oh, okay. So when are we gonna go to war with the countries still practicing slavery? When are we gonna do that?
Oh. Dude, you're thinking way too big. We need to start with the cities and towns here in America. We need to go to war with like cities and towns that are doing it wrong here in America. Focus that shit here. Like there's wars to be fought, but they're not overseas. It's like Indiana, LA. I mean, I think we should invade LA. We're gonna set this place straight.
That's
San Francisco.
I would rather just let LA fall off into the ocean, to be honest with you. But I here's the thing, dude. Not a single person on that stage talked about releasing the January 6th political prisoners. Mm-hmm. Not a single one of them talked about Julian Assange. Not a single one of them talked about Edward Snowden. Not a single one of them talked about Ross Ulbricht. I mean, they didn't talk about pardoning anybody except for Trump. Mm-hmm. Okay? Which, you know that my biggest gripe with Trump was that he had the opportunity on his way out of office to actually give the middle finger to the establishment and the corporate news media by giving clemency to Julian Assange and Snowden and Ross Ulbricht, and he didn't do it. He's a coward. He's a fucking coward.
And he talked about it too. He'd mentioned it before, like that he would consider it. So it's not that it wasn't on his radar at all.
Yeah, he'd brought it up, all three of those people at one point in his presidency, and then he walked out of office and didn't. He pardoned like a couple of rappers. That was it. Kodak Black or some shit.
So at the very start, they brought up the Anthony Oliver song, Richmond North of Richmond.
Yeah, they actually played the clip of it.
Yeah, and it was like seven people on stage all went like, yeah, this is the economy is only because of Bidenomics.
Yeah,
and it's
everybody started saying Bidenomics right away.
Yeah, and it's like if you think that just Joe Biden is the enemy, you're like, that's when I gave up. That you're all idiots if you think that just this president is the only issue we have with the economy.
Yeah.
Like when Trump was in office, that's when the Green New Deal was pushed.
It's true, yeah. Yep. And
so do you think, and this is a real question, do you think these people actually don't understand on a deeper level, or they are talking about it in the most simplistic forms to get to the most people in the audience?
They're campaigning. I mean, they're campaigning. And this is what I talk about with my campaign all the time. 5%, right? Like I throw that 5% number around like crazy because it's so fucking important that any third party in this country gets 5%, because then we're a national major political party. It gives people trust. It makes them think that, okay, this party can actually compete now. They're a national major political party. They're on the ballot in all 50 states forever. You know, if they give federal funding to the Republicans and Democrats, they have to give it to the Libertarian Party now too, or they have to stop giving it to the Republicans and the Democrats. Like, you know what I mean? And on principle, as a presidential candidate, if we were able to get that federal funding, I would deny it. And that'd be savage as shit to do in the news. Like, nope, we've denied the federal funding. Give it to the Republicans and Democrats. Fuck that.
I don't think they'd talk about it.
I would make sure that they talk about it. Because now you're a national political party. You're a major national political party. It changes everything. And we only need 5% in the general election to do that. If you poll us at 15% in any of the major polls leading into the general, they have to allow us in the debates. The PDC has to let us in the debates.
That would be so
you know how
cool.
savage that would be? Could you imagine if I get in the general and they put me on stage with Trump and Biden? Oh my God, dude. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? Get out of here. I'm going to go up there and I'm going to be like Shane Hazel in his race for governor in Georgia. I'm just going to look back and forth the whole time and let them both know how much they
Trump
suck.
would just be like, who is this guy?
Yeah, I'll be like, yeah.
I've never heard of this guy.
I'll be like,
before.
I'm a critical facilities engineer with 7 kids, motherfucker, and you're ruining my life. And here I am. Now you have to look me in the eyes and listen to what we have to say. And I would. And it would be fun. And I mean it. If you guys help us poll at 15%, I will bring a crack pipe on stage to give to Joe Biden at the national debates. I promise you, I will do that.
I used one.
I promise.
Take a rip of it first.
No, I don't do crack, dude.
Dude, just once.
Crack is whack, bro. And I mean that.
I wanted to feel like you were my dad.
If the good people of America do me a solid and help me poll at 15% in the general polls, I will bring Biden a crack pipe on stage at the PDC at the national debates. Anyways,
15%. That's 3 out of 20 people.
It's a lot, dude.
3 out of every 20.
It's a lot. It's actually a lot in the grand scheme of things if you think about it. But 5% is way more than attainable. Gary Johnson got 3.3% in 2016 in an election where we could have gotten 10% and ran a bad candidate, and Bill Weld, who sucked terribly, horrible, garbage candidate for the Libertarian Party. I am confident, especially this go round between Biden and Trump, that we can hit 7, maybe 10. I am confident, especially if we run somebody like me or like Clint or like somebody who's brash and is going to go out there and say it like it is and get people amped up and bring the Ron Paul revolution back to its the front of the national discussion. By the way, speaking of the Ron Paul revolution, the worst takeaway from the debate last night is the dumb fucking libertarians that are trying to compare Vivek to Ron Paul. Are you kidding me? How much more disrespectful could you get? This man wants to bomb Mexico, and you're going to compare him to the great, good Dr. Ron Paul of all people? Don't do that anymore. You're wrong. You're wrong.
I would compare him to Rand potentially.
I wouldn't even compare him to Rand. Rand wouldn't. But Rand wants to pull out of all of our military bases around the country and bring all our troops home, dude. He doesn't want to bomb Mexico. Are you kidding me? He doesn't want to continue to surround Iran and try to poke fingers in their chest and tell them they can't have nuclear munitions. Like, Rand doesn't do that shit. You know what I mean? And Rand's not for the drug war. He's not for the drug war at all.
Oh, yeah, true.
You know what I mean? Like, no, Rand's bad on some shit, and he's been bad on some shit, but I think he was trying to push Trump in a certain direction. But I can tell you that Vivek is no Rand Paul either. He's definitely no Thomas Massey. He's not even Justin Amash.
Wasn't he talking about like qualified immunity yesterday? Like, we need more police, more police in the streets.
Oh, they all did. Yeah.
Without them looking over their shoulders, worrying about lawsuits. It's like, yeah,
they all did.
So we have police that are immune from lawsuits.
Yeah, he said immunity. He said we need to give police immunity from lawsuits, and it was like, dude, no fucking way.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. That's a terrible fascistic thing to say. And look, I'm not necessarily, especially in these big cities, like I'm not necessarily against having some kind of law there. Okay.
Yeah.
It's getting so out of hand there. They need some help. But
it's in the military, I'm telling you.
And like some of it is
deploy the National Guard.
Is like you could put as much of a police presence as you want in San Francisco, but if the district attorney isn't going to prosecute anything,
right,
then the police presence is essentially useless.
Right. But making them immune from lawsuits is a terrible, stupid.
Oh yeah, that's
idea.
An awful idea.
Yeah, we need to take that in the other direction to make it easier to sue police when they do wrong things. And I believe that 100%. It would make police more. I don't know. What's the word I'm looking for?
But Josh, if you couldn't just get away with anything as a police officer, nobody would want the job.
Yeah, it is shitty pay for what they have to do. There's no doubt about that.
They just need more pay. They're like teachers.
Yeah, just like teachers. The teachers union I will say the teachers union and the police union are not much different, dude. That's for sure.
Public sector unions, what a great fucking idea.
Yeah, very good.
I'll be right back, guys.
All right. So anyways,
we do have a couple of super chats that we should go over.
I'll read these while we're here. Let's see. So we got our good friend and co-host AJ Fisher, who couldn't be with us tonight. $5 super chat. Thanks, sir. He said, I strongly suggest watching Trump's interview with Tucker. Hilarious critiques of every GOP candidate by Trump had me rolling. Spicy J6 comments too. I will watch it. I have watched clips of it, and it was pretty entertaining. I'm not going to lie. Have you watched it at all?
I haven't watched it at all. Twitter
way better
video
than debate.
Just doesn't vibe with me for whatever reason.
Way better than the debate, dude.
I would bet Trump's entertaining.
Yeah,
at least.
Level Zero, thanks for the $5 super chat. He said Vivek was the least rotten apple in the barrel. Pence is race Bannon from Johnny Quest, except he wants to bomb everyone. Yes, Pence was very bloodthirsty with Russia for sure. Pence, Chris Christie, and Nikki Haley were all three ready to go. But it sounded like they wanted to lead a platoon themselves right into Russia. And hey, if they would do that, I'd have a lot more respect for them.
Yeah. And then the other two or three, I didn't remember. They were all just completely irrelevant.
I did like, you know what, dude? I did like some of the things that the governor of North Dakota had to say, dude.
Yeah, Greg
is it Greg Burgum?
I liked a couple of things, but it was very clear
Doug Burgum.
Yeah, it was very clear he has absolutely no shot at the nomination.
Oh, he's got no shot, but I think he had a lot of he was like just a good constitutionalist, mostly is what he sounded like. And I really liked his idea that, we're constantly saying, the way the big city works, but no one's ever talking about the crime wave in the small towns. You know why? Because the small towns are helping each other out when somebody's sick and they can't get their crops, right? And he's like, he made some really good points about how we need to have a more small town mentality in the United States and not try to push all these big city mentalities on the rest of the country. And he's right. He's right about that. I agree with him 100%.
Was he the one that brought up the 14th Amendment?
Probably, yes.
Yeah, somebody made a good point about the 14th Amendment.
He was very good. And Tim Scott was Tim Scott. He had some good things to say. I think he came off really personable and genuine for the most part, but they all sucked in a lot of ways. Quest Fanning, thanks for the $2 super chat, man. He said, Department of Education created in 1979. Like me, I've had more success. Yes, the Department of Education, and this is one of my platforms on my campaign as well, is to abolish the Department of Education, because since 1980, which is, I like to say, the early 80s, spending for the Department of Education has more than quadrupled, while test scores have largely stayed the same or dropped immensely. And so what are they doing, and why do they have a SWAT team? That's what I'd like to know. But yeah, it's definitely a department that needs to go. I basically want, if you guys were crazy enough to put me in the White House, I've been watching the Argentinian presidential election. Valle, I always mess up his name.
I don't know.
He did this really cool video where he had every department on a board taped, and he's like Ministry of Education and blah blah blah. Gone. And then he just kept ripping them all off. And he's like, Department of Sports and Athletics, gone. And I was like, that's me. That's really what I would like to do. I won't have the power to do that with everything. And this is something that I wanted to address, because like the ATF, right? I have it in my platform to abolish the ATF. Technically, under the law, I cannot just go in and sign an executive order to abolish the ATF. What I can do, though, and Vivek made a really good point about this, actually, because he wants to do it with the FBI. You have the power as the president to start mass layoffs. Mass layoffs. I mean, thousands of people. So that's what I would do. I would just lay off all the ATF agents, and we would bulldoze the building and turn it into a dog park. And then all of their leftover equipment would be auctioned off. So that we could pay reparations to everybody who had to unconstitutionally buy an NFA tax stamp. That's my plan for the ATF. A lot of the other FBI or a lot of the other alphabet agencies, I feel like we do the same thing to them. I was on Austin Peterson's shows recently, and he started bringing up the CIA. Well, have they ever done anything good? Say something good about the CIA. And I was like, I can't. He's like, how about Che? I was like, well, Che needed to go. But I do think that the CIA needs to go too. I think that this, the problem with the CIA is none of us actually know the depth of what they do, because it's so secretive. But we do know that they've been a part of all these crazy false flag operations and crazy unconstitutional things. Like a department like that shouldn't exist. You know what I mean? And
like the FBI, there are things that they've done positively. They've captured bad people.
Sure, the FBI goes after child sex traffickers and all kinds of stuff, dude. Yeah, absolutely. But there's other departments that they can be fed into. That aren't the FBI, and so Joseph Rice, thanks for the $2 super chat, my man. I appreciate you. That's a first super chat from our good friend Joseph Rice there. He asked, what's my overall plan for education? I'm great. Thank you for asking. My overall plan for the for education at the federal level is to get rid of the Department of Education at the federal level and let states handle it. Here's the deal. Prior to the Department of Education, schools competed for their students. Okay. Pulling the competition out of schools. And this happens with public colleges as well. Once we removed the need to compete with a better curriculum, better programs, better teaching, cheaper prices, and then started subsidizing these people. We just
competition,
grants, grants, and we took away the competition in education, and so teachers don't have to improve. Schools don't have to improve. That's why you walk into some of these kids' schools, they're like so outdated from like the 60s and 70s and stuff.
I graduated from the same high school building that my mom did, and
so did I.
My mom graduated from that high school building because the one that they were building when she was in middle school burned down.
Sure.
And so they moved all of the kids to the old middle school. And that was the high school building I graduated from.
I graduated from Antioch High School, which was the same school that my mom graduated from in 1980. And it was still around when my grandma was in school, but she went to a school in Brentwood, California. This is a major metropolitan area, dude. Okay. And the school grounds and buildings were the same buildings that my mother went to school in. The only thing they had really added when I was in school were trailers on the property, like air-conditioned trailers, so that you could do classes in air-conditioned trailers. They had not improved anything except for the football stadium and the gym. The wrestling room, I was a wrestler. The wrestling room was the same exact wrestling room that people that went to that high school in the 50s and 60s were wrestling in. Mm-hmm. Okay? That's your education dollars go
That's
to.
how it goes, though. It's like you build a thing. You know, these systems are not designed to like innovate and to change and adapt with the times. It's like you build a thing. It's like we've decided that kids need, 10% of this, 20% of this, 30% of this, and these other 2 things or 3 things, and we're going to put this into a facility that has exactly room for that and nothing else, and we're going to build it. Typically, they build these places in a space where there's no room to expand anyway. Between zoning laws and all this stuff, you have a school in a neighborhood where all the other buildings around, you couldn't take them and like add them to the school. It's like there's, at least in Manchester and New Hampshire, it's like it's all like residential buildings. They're not zoned to be schools. They're not zoned. You'd have to have this whole process to turn that into something useful. Right. So you have this school that can't even actually physically grow, and the city is supposed to grow around it. But it's just this antiquated, like we have created a structure, and every kid for the next 70 years is going to need these exact things. There's no thought to say, oh, well, do kids need different things today than they did in the 50s or in the 70s? Or does this school would it work better if it was geared towards a different like type of service, right? Is the economy in our area become a different kind of thing? That's never considered.
Well, I think
that's never considered at all.
I think that Corey DeAngelis has the best like short elevator pitch on this, and it's that when the money follows the school and not the kids, it doesn't improve the life of and education of the kids. When the money follows the kids instead of the school, it improves the life and education of the kids, and that's the truth. That's the absolute truth. You can look at schools, and that's exactly what's happening. Public schools they're not teaching anything that's extremely helpful in the long run to kids other than, maybe some light math. And they're not even teaching it the way that helps them learn the best anymore. But it's just become such a terrible thing, man. Like public education is now really indoctrination centers. And it's like the school to prison pipeline, dude. They have it's the same setup as people in prison. Literally.
Well, the schools that we go to were designed to pump out factory workers.
Right.
That's why we have the bells, and that's why things are structured the way they are. You get there at the certain time. You go to your designated area. You eat lunch on a schedule. You respond to when the bell rings. All of that is
when the bell tolls.
Yeah.
It's one size fits all because they want you all to come out in the same shape.
Yeah, it's the standardization. And I put that in my platform, that we have to stop thinking of education for children in a standard thought pattern, because children aren't standardized, dude. Every kid is different. Listen, I got a son who's 11, right? 12. He'll be 12 this month. He just started the 7th grade.
Yeah.
And he sucks at math. He hates doing math. He doesn't like it. It doesn't help him at all. But he wants to be an electrician. And I told him, well, you're going to need some math to learn how to read lines and stuff like that, right? Because I do electrical work, and I know it's a little math, but it's not a lot of math.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, I wish I could just learn how to be an electrician now. I'd like to be an electrician. How cool would it be if your 14-year-old started going to electrical school at 14 years old, and at 18 they were a journeyman? You know what I mean?
I mean, like if you were an electrician, you could bring them to work with you. You homeschool and bring them to work with you.
Or if you homeschool, you could have your kid reach out to electricians in the area, have them learn how to be able to reach out, make that connection, and pitch themselves and say, hey, I want to learn this profession. Will you take me on as an apprentice for me to be able to learn this?
Right. But they're not going to do that at 14 years old. They're not. There's just no electrical companies that are going to take the risk of bringing on a 14-year-old and teaching them how to be electrical.
It's got to be your kid. That's like it only really works for keeping that in the family, because you can be a dad.
But listen,
who builds decks and porches.
Listen what I'm saying.
His kid goes to work with him.
I know that's okay. That's a little workaround.
But nobody else can do that for you.
That's a little workaround now. But think about it in terms of, okay, we've unstandardized the education system. Some kids are really good at electrical work. Some kids want to be in trades. Some kids want to be politicians. Some kids want to work on cars. Some kids want to do all these things. Wouldn't it be better for them to come into their adult years knowing how to do the things that they want to do, as opposed to the things that the school believes they need to know?
For sure.
Or at least go into their adult years knowing, hey, I thought I wanted to be an electrician, but that's not the right path for me.
Right.
I thought I wanted to do this, and they can mark off 4 or 5 different things that maybe could have been a career path.
It's just crazy. It's crazy to me that it's so standardized. Like, and what we're teaching kids in school is how to memorize things for tests. That's it. You're not learning life skills by doing that, dude. You know what I mean? Like, you can learn a bunch of history knowledge and then you can turn around and try and impress your friends at parties with knowledge of the Civil War and the Revolutionary War and the French Revolution and the Magna Carta and like all these different things that sound cool to talk about at parties, but like, unless you're going to be a history teacher, it's not going to serve you much good.
And so much of the lesson design was built before the internet.
Right.
And I think it was Albert Einstein that said, never memorize something you can quickly look up.
Yeah, and you can look up everything now. But
yeah, so
I taught myself heating and air conditioning on the internet. I taught myself ladder logic and how to program PLCs on YouTube, dude. Literally.
Yeah,
in like 2 weeks. This is things that these PLCs, these PLC programs, they use ladder logic. It's like an electrical diagram, but this is you set the lines to do certain things in the program logic controllers, right? And they do different processes around factories and stuff like that. If you know what PLCs are, it's pretty basic stuff that I'm saying here. It gets a lot deeper, but I learned how to use ladder logic, the program that programs those controllers, on YouTube in like 2 weeks. People spend 4 years doing apprentice work to learn that stuff.
For my job, I take on different projects. For this most recent project, I built a single page application almost entirely out of JavaScript.
Right.
I had not programmed in JavaScript before.
I knew JavaScript when MySpace was out. I knew how to use it, CSS and JavaScript back then.
Yeah, this was CSS and JavaScript.
Did you ever have a MySpace page? You're not that old.
No. Like,
Bill, did you ever have a MySpace page?
I did, yeah. I had it for like probably a year and a half, 2 years.
But
it was cool. It was very customizable.
Yeah, we all learned how to write code because of MySpace.
Just like a little bit, yeah. Very simple stuff.
Simple stuff, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I took a class from Stanford when I was 16.
Nice. We got some more super chats. Hold on one second here. Mr. Quest.
Totally.
Always dropping the good super chats, sir. Thank you. He did a $2 one that said the Fed is way easier to abolish than the Department of Education. I agree. I do think that there's going to need to be, when I go back and forth on if people were crazy enough to put me in the White House, whether we would have to sunset it at least for a period of time, because everything is backed up by the Fed right now and their bonds. And
yeah, I think there would need to be some kind
of sunsetting, but I would start abolishing the Fed right away.
Some sort of easing into it.
Yeah, I would abolish the Fed right away. We would have to think about what kind of money market we're going to have without the Fed.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been working with a great economist who's written for the last 8 years, written a paper on something that he likes to call the kilowatt dollar,
mm-hmm.
which would take us off of OPEC, which is the petrodollar, by building, I think he said 40 Gen 4 small reactors in the country. We'd be able to power our entire country on just that. And with a surplus that we could store in batteries and build around the world, we could build battery banks and bring our energy to other countries through battery banks and charge them. And our money would be backed by the kilowatt from our power system as opposed to the petrodollar.
Well,
that was pretty crazy to think about.
Kind of indirectly, where our money is backed by the kilowatt, because the petroleum is just the most common form of energy.
Sure. It's still
and
not,
so,
still not kilowatt.
And all of modern society depends on energy so much. So cheap energy is one of the most important things.
You just actually me, bro. Come on. It's actually.
So it's a bit of a left turn, but I have an idea that I think you should maybe introduce into your campaign. It's not an original idea from me; it's from my friend Seth. But you know how like they release these bills that people have to vote on, and they drop them on like Rand Paul's desk 12 hours before the vote?
It's not even 12 hours. Sometimes like 6 hours, and it's like fucking 600 pages or something. Yeah,
madness. 6,000 pages. Yeah. Somebody needs to sue I guess you'd sue Congress, somebody with the ADA, the American with Disabilities Act, and say, I can't read this thing. We need an audio version released so that I can read it.
Oh boy, that would change things.
Oh my goodness. That's brilliant.
So if you can get on some platforms and talk about something like that, I mean, like, you know, it seems like there's a hole there where it's like somebody could just sue. It would probably not even have to go through like Congress or anything. It would just go right to like a court, and they'd be like, oh yeah, obviously you have to let people read the law before their representatives can vote on it. They can't even tell the representatives whether
using
they vote
the ADA
on it.
would be that it would have to get pushed through. That's pretty crazy. I didn't even think about that. Someone was thinking deep there.
Okay, so if that happened, like crazy enough that you get put in the White House, bring me in as your guy to read bills. That's my role. I am diagnosed with dyslexia and ADHD.
Like my aide cannot read the bill.
Yeah, so
we need a full audio version.
Yeah, we need a full audio version.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
Yeah, we could totally pull that.
We got a $10 super chat from Quest Fanning. Thanks, sir. He said, my daughter is 8, and I'm teaching her algebra. She is going to graduate high school about 5 years younger than me, but quote unquote socialization. I have an MSCS and still have bad dreams about bells. Yeah, I went to public school too, man. I hated it. What were you gonna say, Bill?
I don't remember.
That's all right, dude. We're getting to the end of this thing anyways. So, Bill, you got any good jokes to tell before we go?
Oh man, about what?
I don't know.
If I thought about it for a minute, you know, when you throw me right into like the hey man, you got any good jokes?
I've seen you do stand up, dude. It was hilarious. It was fun.
Sometimes better than others, you know.
It was fun. I saw you at Pork Fest last year. Do stand up.
You like asking for his tight five or what?
I think I had probably been drinking quite a bit at that point. I don't drink very much anymore, and Pork Fest people kept feeding me liquor, so I was a little buzzed up, dude.
Pork Fest will get you drunk. I did a good job this year not getting drunk. I've been trying to like lift weights, drink water, go to the gym, get good sleep, eat good food.
I had some drinks, and then
there's so much to drink at Pork Fest.
Yeah, and it was fun. I rode a scooter.
Hell yeah,
a gas scooter, up to the store to get some whiskey. That was fun.
That was
what?
The Mises scooter.
Yeah,
it was like everybody from the Mises caucus has signed that.
Well, it was Nolan. It was Nolan's scooter.
Yep.
And he let me ride it around the place, and then I rode up to the store, which was cool. Of course, New Hampshire has no helmet laws. I probably would not ride that scooter without a helmet now after my motorcycle accident last year. which was not long after.
Damn.
Which was not long after Porkfest, by the way. And thank God I had my helmet on, or I would have died probably.
Yeah, you would have.
Yeah, it was pretty gnarly. So
would you say it's because of Porkfest? Like you get the arrogance that you got from living so freely in New Hampshire?
It was my fucking dog's fault, actually. I came home.
Oh, damn.
I came home and my wife was like, "Hey, our stepdaughter's over at a friend's house and she needs an overnight bag. Would you mind bringing one over?" And it was just got dark, and I was like, "Sure." And someone opened the garage and my dog got out, and she's very fast. And she went running down the street towards a very busy street. So I put my helmet back on. Thankfully, I was not going to put my helmet back on, but I put my helmet back on and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go get her. And so I don't know what possessed me to think that I could go and get our 65-pound dog on my motorcycle.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be a task, dude. You have like a dog backpack?
No. And so I went up and I saw her take off down our main street, which has about it's a 35 mile an hour zone. And so I hit a left there and I couldn't see her. And my backyard was coming up on the left side because our backyard backs up to the main street and there's no fence. And I was doing about 35 or 40 trying to see where she was at. And she came running out from behind a tree right in the middle of the road, right in front of me. And I slammed on my front and rear brakes at the same time. And turned the handlebars and high-sided the bike. I slid probably, 40 or 50 yards on my head and shoulder and knee and hip. And I was hurt. And my helmet, like the right side of my helmet, was all caved in and scratched off. And
it was.
Damn, dude.
There was probably 1.5 inches or 2 inches of material missing on your helmet.
Yeah, if I had not been wearing a helmet, it knocked me out cold. I got right back up. And then got my motorcycle out of the street and put it in my backyard and then walked all the way around the block with like a broken toe and a really bad contusion, maybe fractured hip even, and a rib and a shoulder. And I was pretty concussed. And
I was going to say, you get a concussion, helmet doesn't stop you from getting a concussion.
It knocked me out cold. I mean, it knocked me out real good. So for a couple seconds, and then I got up and I was like, what happened? And
damn, dude.
Yeah, I was very lucky that I decided, if I had not put my helmet on, it would have been.
Yeah,
I may not have died, but I definitely would have been messed the fuck up real bad.
With the damage to your helmet,
yeah,
you wouldn't have survived that. Not a chance.
You'd be surprised at how tough a head can be, dude. You'd be surprised.
Dude, if your dog does that one more time, you should call the cops.
I thought about calling the cops on her that night. In fact, I wanted to. I don't beat my dog, but I wanted to beat her that night real bad. Thanks for the $2 super chat, Quest. He said, I'd encourage others to take a chance at homeschool. I do too. I think homeschool is the best way. A lot of communities have like homeschool groups too. If you're not aware, you can probably find a group where all the kids go to school in a homeschool group. And you can learn all about curriculums, and some people even teach the Ron Paul curriculum, which I love.
That's what I'm planning to do.
Yeah, it's a good one.
The Atlantic, like a couple years back, put out a piece titled "The Ron Paul Homeschool Curriculum Will Turn Your Kids into Little Ron Pauls." It's like
awesome,
great. It's exactly what I want.
Hey, you don't have to sell it to me. I already want to buy it.
Like, I'm sold. Yeah. Like I already was.
Never talk past the sell, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? Bill, where can people find you, support you, listen to you, all that good stuff, dude?
I would say just follow me on Twitter at Bill is a joke. It's about it. Look for some stuff. I'm working on some projects for me fun, some New Hampshire propaganda. That's what I spend my time on. Is just like behind the scenes working on building propaganda for New Hampshire. So
you know what we didn't talk about?
Keep your eyes peeled.
You know what we didn't talk about? Vivek stole my platform in the debate.
Yeah.
And that was the first.
So what is that?
Okay, so I put out a platform, and it's like become kind of the cornerstone of my campaign. It's something that no presidential. We're going to talk about this before we leave. Sorry, it's something that no presidential candidate has ever brought up, in my opinion. I've never seen one do it. In 1975, it was signed into law, Title 4D of the Social Security Act. Essentially, what it is for every $2 that a state spends on child support programs, including enforcement and other things, the federal government reimburses them $3 for every $2 they spend. So they're turning a profit off the child support system. The state is. Okay. This is incentive. And if you look at this since 1975, the amount of fatherless homes in the country has more than tripled. It used to be something like 1 in 50 kids lived in a fatherless home. Now it's 1 in 4 kids live in a fatherless home. And with that, if you look at the correlation between the stats of violent crimes, mass shooters, homeless youth, high school dropouts, literacy, violent youthful offenders incarcerated. The stats are all 70% or more of those people in those different groups come from a fatherless home. 90% of mass shooters from a fatherless home. And so I've always talked a lot about Title D in the past, but I've equated it to this gun violence thing, right? These people are constantly like, oh, gun violence, we got to remove the guns. No, you have to stop incentivizing the states to separate the family and treat one of the parents like a visitor, which 93.9% of the time is the father. And so I had been talking about how I think the biggest issue that we face as a country is the separation of family. Because that's where everybody begins to get their social conditioning, their morals, their values. They learn how to deal with their emotions. It all comes from the family.
Manage risk and delay gratification.
Correct.
Those are
time preference.
Yes. Those are huge things that fathers teach.
Exactly.
It's wild that not only is that being disincentivized with like incentives to be like a single mom, there's incentives for people to incentivize that. It's like incentive inception. It's fucked up.
Yes. So they are subsidizing states to separate families. And that you absolutely cannot argue with the statistics behind that. If you look it up, it will blow your mind. You can't, at some people will say, well, correlation doesn't equal causation. These stats are so high, over 70% in the correlation field, you can't dismiss them. I'm sorry, you cannot.
You know it's wild that so it's fatherless homes, not just single parent homes, because if you look at the single father homes,
yes, it's different.
Yeah, it's
but the stats
right around
some of the stats do go up when you just use the parent single parent factor. Like 1 in 4 children live in a fatherless home. That actually goes up when you make it just a single parent home, right? So there are some stats that go a little bit higher, but yes, the big main problem is fatherless homes. And you cannot, no one is going to convince me that 1 in 4 dads is bad. Sorry.
Here's what we do to fix this. We create more 2-father homes.
No, well, what we need to do is abolish Title 4D of the Social Security Act, signed into law in 1975 by Gerald Ford, by the way. So if
you want to get technical about it.
Yeah. So I've been bringing this up and I've been talking about it on every interview I've done. I'm definitely going to go into it on Tim Pool, because I think that his audience will be very receptive to that, especially when a lot of them are gun people. You know what I mean? And they need to have some other arguments besides just the Second Amendment tells me that I can. How about you explain to these moms demand action people that all the single moms and mom demand action people are doing a worse disservice to their children than people who own guns. Anyways, so I've been bringing that up a lot. It's been on my platform. Vivek at the same time was kind of doing these podcast tours. He was on Liberty Lockdown and some other podcasts that are really close to me. And I had been tagging him on Twitter, asking for a debate, telling him to check out my platform, all this stuff. Last night he goes on the debate. I've never in my life, you can quote me on this, you can look it up. I don't think there's been a single presidential candidate in the United States, either Republican or Democrat or Libertarian, that has talked about, written about, or advocated for abolishing Title 4D or even brought up Title 4D of the Social Security Act at all since 1975, when it was signed into law by Gerald Ford. Okay. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, he goes, we have a federal government that is subsidizing and incentivizing the separation of nuclear families. And I was like, holy shit, dude, this guy has seen my platform. There's no doubt that he's seen my platform, dude. There's no doubt about it. He had to have. He's been running in very close to the same circles. And all of a sudden, and when I say that no president or presidential hopeful has ever talked about this, that includes Vivek.
Yeah.
Has never said a word about this until the debates last night. Okay.
So you should be flattered, Josh.
And here's the thing. A lot of people thought I was upset about it when I posted on my Twitter. I'm not upset about it. I think it's fucking great. He just started a national conversation that nobody else is talking about. Larry Elder shared his shit to 1.8 million people about it. I mean, that's huge. Okay.
Yep.
And that is probably the biggest problem we face as a country right now is the forced and incentivized separation of families and even just peaceful co-parenting between separated families.
So I want to say something really quick because it's like you made a really good point there. You're not mad. You're happy that he talked about it, right? He started a national conversation. You're not like in a position to repeal a law.
Not right now. No, absolutely not.
Right?
Yeah.
But you are in a position where you could seed a conversation. That's really cool. That's like something special.
Yeah, that's where setting
the
a trend.
Yeah, that's where the LP can really leverage itself. And as you know, one of these uppity New Hampshire people that I am, I think it's really good for the LP to recognize in most places it's a messenger and not like there's no power.
Right.
There's no power, and it's very unlikely that you will. Even as like dog catcher, get elected as dog catcher, there's still no power. Like you can't do shit. You're not in a position to advance liberty. I hear a lot of people say advance liberty. So it's like you can, however, get people talking about it. So with the ADA thing, that lawsuit to get like an audio version of the bill, that's something if the right people hear it, that could be a whole conversation that just goes out into the ether and is seeded into the public.
That should be the goal of the Libertarian Party nationally right now. Absolutely. There's a twofold goal here. Okay. One is to move the Overton window, get people having these national conversations. I honestly believe, and so do a lot of other people, that we got Vivek to do that last night. I know my whole campaign team was like, holy shit, you've been talking about that every day on every show. And all of a sudden he talks about it. Yes.
This is actually why I'm a fan of Vivek. I don't think I'm going to vote for him. He's like, he adapts, right? He is a chameleon. So like, I don't trust him, but he's like taking in new information, saying the thing that fits. If he finds like an interesting piece of information, he'll throw that out there. And it's like, oh, if we can feed him like an interesting, good talking point somehow. And he is close, like you say, to our circles. Pretty sure Kaufman has his number. I know I'm like a shitty sit-in for Kaufman, but I'm pretty sure Kaufman's got his number. He could just text Vivek if he wanted to. So it's like, you know, having the ear of these people is also good.
Yes. And
at the very least,
the other goal of the federal candidates, especially the presidential candidate, is 5%.
Absolutely.
And there's some people in the party that are like, why would you say you're going to lose? You should never say you're going to lose. I'm like, because I'm going to lose.
No,
when we get into the general election, we are going to lose. That's the fact of the matter. But if we can talk to people where they're at and get them to understand the importance of 5% of the national vote in the general election and get them to understand that it will change the political landscape in this country forever in a good way, and we get them to understand that now we're the shark in the water, threatening these positions of power, these long-held positions of power, and now we can get these people to understand that now your favorite candidate has to start governing like they campaign. That's important. Those are important things for people to know. And I'm not going to get through to these people who don't want to vote for the Libertarian by saying we're going to win the presidency. Yeah. You are not going to have a breakthrough with these people by saying we're going to win the presidency, because they know in their heart, in their brain, and through history that you are not going to win the presidency. Absolutely. So going at them saying, I'm the Libertarian candidate and I'm going to win the presidency is a laughing matter to them. And
it's like you're lying to everybody.
You're lying.
You're lying to yourself. You're lying to them. It's like, oh, I'll tell you the thing that I think you want to hear, even though you know it's not true and I know it's not true. And you don't even want to hear it. You want to know what actually motivates me. Like, why are you here, dude? Why do you bother?
Right.
And then,
because that's the real question: is why do you bother with the LP? That's what most people would ask.
Exactly.
The 5% thing convinces people that it's worthwhile.
Yeah.
It's like,
we only need 5%.
Like, you're not going to win. You're defining winning wrong.
Right.
You win if I get 5%.
Yeah. We all win. That's the thing that is getting people to understand that we all win if the Libertarian Party gets 5% in the general election. We all win. Your candidates have to get better. There's a third option on the ballot every single election now. It makes another party more prevalent.
We get in the debates.
And I'm telling you, listen, maybe Gary Johnson would have got wrecked in the debate. Joe Jorgensen certainly would have gotten wrecked in the debate. I wouldn't get wrecked in one of those debates. I don't think somebody like Clint or Dave Smith, especially, is going to get wrecked.
Destroy everyone.
They would. We are like, ready to destroy those people.
We saw Shane Hazel and Chase Oliver on the debate stage
with very little debate prep. And by the way, Chase Oliver, I'm not a fan of Chase Oliver's. No, that's no secret. Yeah. But Chase Oliver did very well in that debate. Very well. He made them look foolish. He made Senator Warnock look foolish. Foolish. So that's our goals. And to state a crazy, like here's the deal. I'm confident we can get 5%. I know it's important. I can tell you why it's important. I can help you understand why we should help the Libertarian Party get 5%. I'm shooting for 10.
Yeah.
I want 10 and an electoral vote. That would be sick. That's not out of the realm of being attainable. It's not. It's absolutely not. But telling someone we're going to beat Trump or we're going to beat Joe Biden, no, you're crazy, dude. It's insane. Why would you even say that? Why would you do that? Don't say that. Don't say it as a presidential candidate from the Libertarian Party. Say, we're trying to become a national major political party so that we can push your candidates to be better. Give us a vote. Especially if you're in a state like Florida or Iowa, where it's all red anyways, or Texas. There's like certain states where it's not going to fucking matter anyways.
Yeah.
Shoot us 5% of the vote. Let us become a national major political party. Let us circle the water around these like lifelong politicians and make their jobs uncomfortable, because that's the only way you're ever going to get these people to care about you, is when they're fucking uncomfortable with their own jobs, dude.
Like, if you're a Republican in California, like, if you vote Republican, you're kind of throwing your vote away. You're not gonna get the electoral votes in fucking California.
No, hell no.
But you can make your vote useful, because we just need 5%.
Yeah,
and that makes a difference. If you vote Libertarian,
it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and that's where a huge percentage of the population is.
Yes.
Do you guys think maybe, so I had this thought, because like Toad's running for president, and then obviously like Josh is running for president. What if every LP candidate had to be named Josh? Do you think we could just like be the Josh party, and that might be very appealing to voters?
No. So, well,
I was just thinking like maybe people in LA would be more inclined to vote for somebody named Josh than somebody named Joe or Donald.
It's probably they may.
I don't know.
Thought.
Here, let me tell you this though. This is wild. So
just change your name to Chegg.
I told you that I did. Vote. I told you that I did an interview with the kind of lefty sort of feeling magazine called Open Secrets. If you're not familiar with what they are, Open Secrets is a DC magazine publication, and they called me and did a phone interview with me. And he's like, yeah, I've talked to the other Libertarian candidates. Can you tell me some about your national strategy? Because some of the other candidates are saying they're only focusing on a couple of states to try and get electoral votes. And I was like, eek, no, don't do that. I said, we're running a national strategy to get 5% on the general ballot. That's what we're doing, period. And that's what we should be doing. Anyways, we got to get going, Bill. I love you to death, man. Thanks so much for coming on.
Dude, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We'll see you soon. And maybe come back on the show sometime.
Yeah, I'd love to.
All right, brother.
Come talk about something that's like not the debates I didn't watch.
Yeah. We'll talk about other things next time, I promise.
I was just here to eat ice cream and make fun of stuff, you know. So it's,
you did your job well.
Worked out well. Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Ryan, you got anything before we take off?
Follow me on Twitter at BulldogGamer28. I'm really close to that 300 follower mark, which
you were like, you couldn't even get over 100 when I first met you.
I was at 86 when I joined the show.
Killing it, dude. Killing it.
So you guys have come through on that. Keep coming through for me. I appreciate it. I mean, if you're in Polk County, come to our local meetings. Reach out to me, and I'll get you details on that. Like, comment, subscribe, share the show. We grow when you share, when you like it. It helps us.
Yeah, we really would appreciate it if you guys would start sharing. We got to get this YouTube channel back up and running, because we did lose a lot of lot of followers and watchers. So
yeah,
bring us back, man.
We're building up momentum again.
Quest, thanks for a $2 super chat. He said all that matters is supporting hashtag opportunity. I agree, man. It makes a big difference. Joseph Rice dropped us 2 super chats. He did $5 super chat, said heard that child support actually pays judges in retirements. Yes, that reimbursement actually does, some of that does go to pay judges and other things as well. He also said, being the vice president of the Iowa Proud Boys, we have his support. So, and he did mention that in one of the comments on the YouTube. So Iowa Proud Boys are in support of Joshua Smith's campaign. It's pretty cool. I like it. Proud of your boy. Proud of your boy.
Hey, sue Congress through the ADA.
Yes, sue Congress through the ADA. I will see you guys next Thursday. That will be a follow-up to my show with Timcast. I'll be on Timcast Wednesday, and then I'll be home Thursday, and we'll do a show Thursday to talk all about that. I love you guys to death. I will see you then, but until then, don't forget to break the cycle.
Due to legal reasons, I just have to explain. The lyrics of my last song may seem to contain a violent call to action in the verse and refrain, but I just landed in Minecraft. The helicopter part was in reference to GTA 5 and the things you do. So any violence you commit, I am not an excuse, because I just landed in Minecraft. A chipper is my friend and he's constantly cold. Accusations of incitement getting totally old. Make your own choices, yeah, you have control, because I just landed in Minecraft. Obviously I would never advocate force, unless there's due process and a trial, of course. And if you're convicted, we will make you a corpse. In Minecraft, just in Minecraft. Nothing I mean, you know it. No